So today is the 26th March, and today we will discuss the topic functions, inside function, defining function, coding function. Then we need to call about the function parameter. Then we will discuss about type of arguments. Then when we are using any function, at a time we should return some values from the function. After execution of the function code, it should return some values from there. So this value may be a single value also, and maybe a combination of value also. So how we will return the combination of value, we will understand in these things. Then we will discuss about the scope of variable. There are two scopes of variable in a function. One is a global scope and second one is a local scope. Then what is call by value in Python function and what is call by reference. In other programming language, pass by value and pass by reference. Generally, we understand the C programming. Here, call by value and call by reference is available. Then we will discuss about, so when we are calling the function, any collection like tuple, list, dictionary, anything we can pass also inside the function. So passing collections in a function. Then we will discuss about one more important is always asked in the interview, like anonymous function. What is anonymous function? It is also called lambda function. Then we need to understand about two function is already predefined, filter and map function. That with the help of this we will understand function also. And there is a recursion of the function. So these topics we will discuss. So first of all, we will go through about defining of the function. Before this, what is function? So a function is nothing, a collections of statements. A collection of a statement is called function. Collection of a statement means what? Collection of a statement means the line of the codes what we have written inside the function. It is called collection of a statement. Why we write the line of the statement inside a function? To perform a specific task. Means we want to achieve some task. We want to execute some logics there. So for this, we create a function to perform a specific task. And what is the advantages of this one? Why we use function? Why we are not using a normal line of the code? Because the advantage is we can define one time. We define one time. We define a function one time, and we can use many times. Like its concept, you have defined function one time, you can use many times. Is the reusability of the code. Reusability of the code. This is the advantage. Now, how we define the function? So for defining a function, we need to use def keyword. This is a predefined keyword. Def. With the help of def, we define a function. So this is the syntax of the function. First of all, we need to use def keyword. After then, we need to give one white space. Then we need to give a function name. Any name you can give, function name. After then, round bracket, then colon, then press enter, one tab space. If you are using any Python ID like PyCharm, we are already going. So after pressing enter, automatically it will give you one indentation. So what this is, this space is called one indentation. After line of function name, press enter, then we need to give one tab space or automatically tab space will be given by Python ID like PyCharm. Fine. So in that case, if we are using the PyCharm or any ID, we don't need to give any tab space. Automatically, it will give after colon. Okay, function name, then after colon. Okay, this is the syntax basically. So def, one white space, function name, round bracket, colon, and then we need to give here. And what the statement we want to give here, the statement, or either you need to, you can call also body of the function. Here also you can see automatically when I am pressing tab enter now, automatically it's coming there according to the previous alignment. This is the by default feature of the ID also, and the notepad also. This can automatically understand from where the previous line is starting. It will go the control directly on that position. So this is the defining of the function. So how you will define the function? So we have already defined like def display and print welcome. So this is the defining of the function is called this one. So if we remove this all the things yesterday we have discussed on this. So after then if I execute, no output will come. Why? Because only we have defined the function, we have not calling the function. So for calling of the function, we need to define, we need to put the same name of the function also. Like we have defined here a function name. So here I am giving the function underscore name. Okay, when we call this name after the completion of the body of the function, then it will call this function. Okay, so here we have defined the function name, def display and print welcome. Now we need to call. Now we need to call this function also. When we execute this line of the code, then it will, the controller will come here and it will compile the syntax automatically. The Python compiler will understand if the def keyword will be counter, then the compiler will understand this is a function name. After then it will find out one white space should be available here, and then it will be find any name of the function, round bracket, then colon. Okay. After then it should be give somebody. Okay, one line should be available. Any one line should be available inside a function. In some cases, if we don't want to define any statement inside the function, at the time we need to use a pass. Otherwise, we'll throw an error. So when after defining of the body, then we call the function name. It is calling. It's called as a calling of the functions. So calling of the function, definition function, then function parameter. Function parameter means what? There are two types. The argument we will go through after this. So parameter means like def add. We want to add two values. Okay, two numbers. So I am giving here any name you can give here. Okay, so there is no any. But the value, the name should be always a string, not a numeric. If you will give the numeric value, then it will throw an error. Then here I want to store in a variable x, then plus, then y. Now I want to return a value. Here we have not written anything. So always remember, in an interview also, the interviewer will ask you, is this compulsory? You need to return any value from that function. So it's not compulsory. Okay. So because we are not returning any value. But the standard practice is always we need to give return. If we are not returning anything, then you need to return true also. This is the standard procedure. Okay, but if you don't define any return value inside the function, it will not throw any error. You always remember, it will ask in the interview. So now here we have already calculated two values, addition of the two values. Now we need to return z. So what will happen when we call this add function? We need to pass two values from here because we have given two values here. Okay, if we are passing the values in which sequence we are passing, same sequence it will store here also. Like here, in which sequence we are defining the value, the same sequence it will store. It will not go in a other sequence. So if we have defined in first position, like right now this is in first position, this is in second position, the same way it is in first position, it is in second position. So the value will be stored in first and second. How many number of argument we are passing here? Basically, this calling is called parameter and this is called argument. In the other language, there's a different way the naming calling. Okay, the naming convention is a different there. So you can say here it's parameter and it is called argument. Okay, in which sequence we are passing the values here, it will store in the same sequence. Now we have defined this one. I will call here, but no output will come. Why? First of all, we have defined a add function here. We have given a two argument here. We are adding these two argument here and we are storing in this one variable. Okay. We are storing in this variable and we are returning of this variable, but we are not printing. After calling of the function, we should store this return value in a variable. If we will not store this value in a variable, then nothing will happen. Okay, so we need to store this value. What the value we are returning from the function, we need to store in a variable. So in a result we are storing, and after then when we print this result value, so you can see the result is coming. So always remember this thing. When we are defining a function, after then if we are doing any calculation or any logic we have implemented there, after then we should be return some values from there, and then we need to store in a variable. Okay, if we want to print directly, we can use directly print also. In this way, we can also, no problem. Automatically, it will print the value. But we want to, the standard way, we want to store in a variable. After then, we need to print that variable. Now, the type of argument, when we are passing the these values are called and these x and y's parameters. So here there are three types of argument we can pass. Okay. So what is the three types of argument? One is default argument. Second one is a keyword argument. Keyword or named argument. This is also an interview question. In interview, generally they are asking these questions. And last one is arbitrary. What is the meaning of this one? So default argument means when we have defined a function, okay, and we are putting here, and if we are putting here the value we are defining inside the function. Inside, when we are defining the argument here, now parameter here, sorry, it's called. So when we are passing the parameter here, and when we are storing this parameter into the variable, it's called argument. So when during the defining the argument inside the function, when we define the values also, it's called a keyword argument. Default argument. Okay, default argument. So x z again plus y x. then we are doing z at. Now we need to pass only one value, no need to pass two values, because if we can pass two values also. What happened when we passing two value, what happened when we pass a single value, you can see also. So here this is called a default argument. Okay, means default argument, the default value we have assigned this variable. Okay, now if I printing this one, or either we can store in the result variable. This is the standard way. Print res equal to comma. Now we can see. So the result is 30. 20 we are passing, 10 this one, and now I am passing again the value different. So you can see what the value is coming, then 50. If you pass a value from at the time of calling of the function, then either what's the defined here, it will be override this value from this value. If we are not passing the value, then it will not throw any error, but the default value will be assigned automatically, it will be executed. But in this case, if we have defined two variables here, and if we are passing a single value here, then what will happen? It will throw error. It will throw error. Why? The defined, like you can see a type add missing one required positional argument y, means y what the value we are x, we are already storing this value, y we are not passing the value. If we define the same variable value here, I got 2, then it will not throw any error, because we have already defined the value here. Either we are passing 1 or 2, it will not reflect, it will not return any error, because we have already defined a default argument. We have already defined default value in this variable. So if the values we have already defined at the time of defining the function, it will not throw error. But if we have not defined any variable value and we are passing one value, either we have already defined two arguments here, it will throw error. This type of question they will ask you in the interview also. So this, and one more thing here, it's also an important question. So if we have defined in this way, for example, like here I have defined 5. Here I have not defined any value. So it will throw an error. Why? Always the default value should be start from right hand side, not from the left hand side. And all the number we can define here also. For example, right now, if I execute this program, again, it will throw an error. Why? Non-default argument follows default argument. Okay. What the happening? We should always start the default argument value from right hand side of the function, means we should never start in this pattern. Okay, this is the wrong concept. We should always start from right hand side. The default argument should always start inside the function from right hand side, not from the left hand side. Otherwise we throw error. And if we define both variable as here, like again I am giving here 2. So what will happen? Okay, so what will happen? So 22 is coming because we are passing from here. If we don't pass any value from here, again it will not throw any error, because we have already defined the variable value here inside the function definition. Okay, so you remember any number of this one we can give. So always it will start the defining the values as a default argument from right hand side. It will not start from the left hand side. Now we need to move about the keyword argument, okay, and named argument. What is the keyword argument? So function we are defining here add, either display, name and see. Print Now we have defined a function display. Okay, now we are calling this function display, and we are passing here a value name mine order city Bangalore. This is the normal function. Okay, what the function we have defined, this is the normal function. And if we execute this one, then what will happen? It will print name mine coder city Bangalore. Now what the different, what is the keyword argument? Now in this one, what we can define here, we can define here name equal to which type of variable name we are passing, defining, we are using at the time of defining the function. We can use same name here also. Now you can see here the same values are coming. Okay, we can replace the position also. So right now what should happen? For example, if we remove this one, the Bangalore will print in the name. And if we remove this one, so what you can see here, for example, if I remove this one. So now what is coming here? So name is a Bangalore and city is a mine coder, it's coming there. But when we are passing the same name here, in which pattern, so automatically it will assign this variable in this variable. So in what the sequence we are passing the variable name in define at the time of defining the function, it will not reflect anything. So now you can see name we have here first argument at the time of defining the function I have given a name. Second argument I have given a city. While at the passing of parameter I have defined city as a first variable and name is a second variable. But still it is printing the correct value. So this is also an interview question. You always remember, when we are giving the keyword argument, in which sequence we are passing, it's not a matter what the value we have defined in a particular variable, it will print the same way. So if we have defined name, means this name will go automatically this name and this name. In which sequence we are passing, it's not reflect anything. So it will automatically understand by the Python compiler. This is also a very important question in the interview. Now we need to understand about arbitrary argument. In some condition, we don't know how many parameter we will pass after defining the function. For example, we have defined a function. If display we have defined, for example, we don't know the number of arguments. For example, we have defined this display function. Sometimes we are putting 10 values, sometimes we are putting 2 values, sometimes we are putting 3 values, sometimes we are putting 5. So this is not a user defined variable. Okay. So automatically according to the execution of the time, the variable may be vary. This number of values may be vary 1, 2, 3, 4, any number of pass. So at that time we will use arbitrary argument. We need to give one a star, then any variable name, and after then we can print here. For example, what happening here? For example, if we put here. So you can see here what's happening. It's coming, it's printing what the value we are passing here. If we pass 2 value also, it will work. Okay, if we pass 1 value also, because we have given a star. This star is called star, and any name, it is called arbitrary argument. These things we use when we don't know how many, when we don't know how many numbers we will pass as a parameter. At the time we will use arbitrary argument. And when we are passing any values here, like 23, now we are passing name, now string we can also pass, float we can also pass. What will happen? Automatically, what the value we are passing here, automatically it will convert the values, these all value, into a tuple format. And if we want to get 1 by 1 value also, we can get. How we will get? For in any number, print 10. We are not returning anything, no problem. If we want, we can return. If we don't, but we can't return. So you can see here 1023 name and 10.5 it's coming here. So it automatically converts this all variable arbitrary argument, what the parameter we are passing here, automatically what the name we have defined here, it will convert into a tuple. Right now, for example, if we print the type of the variable also, so you can see also what is the meaning of this one. So you can see this is a tuple. So by default, when we pass any value inside arbitrary argument, automatically it will convert into a tuple. This is also internet question. Now we have done this one. Okay. Now handling return value. Handling return value is right now we are returning only one value. If in some condition, here we have not written any value. Here we have written a single value. In some condition, if we want to return more than one value, okay, how we can return? So same way we can return also. Like we can use the dictionary, we can return list, we can return tuple, any type of value we can return. Okay, so we are not passing anything. Okay, the we are defining here 1, 10, 2, 3, 8. We can return this value. Means what the collection we have defined here, either a string, integer, anything we can return from here. So you can see here 1028. This is returning. So here what is happening? The combination of values. But if we try to return values in this way, it will throw error. Like we have defined a equal to 2, b equal to 10. Now I want to return values. Just let me check a comma b. Okay. We can return here. This is not the way. In other programming language we can't do it. We can print C also. Okay, automatically it will convert into a list for tuple format, because in Python what's happening now, we can define a variable in a single line also, like we have already defined like this one, a comma b comma c. We can define now 10 comma 20 comma 30. This is also possible now in Python, and this is also possible 1 comma b comma c comma 10. This is also possible. So this is also possible now. So automatically compiler will return all the values. Either if we return, so it will automatically return the values inside a tuple. You can understand, like arbitrary argument, for example. Name. So in this way, so this will also ask the question in the interview, but this is only possible in Python. In other programming language, now it will throw error. But generally we will not use in that way. Generally when we want to return, either we generally we return in the dictionary format, tuple format. Generally we will manage these all multiple values in a list or either in a dictionary format. So this is also a possible. So in this way you can also handle the returning values from a function inside Python. Now scope of variable. What is the scope of variable? Like if we define a value number equal to, for example, 10, x equal to 10. Now we come here and add plus 1 x. One second. Okay, we can print it. Yes. What the value we are assigning here, we can't modify inside the function. Okay, like for example, if I again try x, okay, so because say again we can modify here because we have all done, but we can't the addition we can't because it will throw error. Okay, fine. Just 1 plus x. So you can see the error here. Okay, what the variable value we have assigned, we can use this variable value inside the function. Okay, but if we can use means we can define this variable, we can't modify or add this thing, we can't do. So you can see here we have defined this variable outside of the function. We are using this function inside of the function, but we can't modify this one here. Okay, inside this function. So if we want to, in this way you can do like here. Again, what is the meaning of this? Means this variable again we are modifying in this function also. So like I also show you test1. Now which type of output will come here? Now it will print test1. And we have defined this variable outside of the function. If I print this function below of this calling of the function, then what output will come here also? It will print test. So what the value you have defined above of the function, this is called as a global variable. This global variable, you can use this variable inside this function also, but only it will print the values. Now the test and test is printing. Means what the variable, the same name we are defining. So this is the scope of the variable. So this variable is called as a global, and this variable is called as a local. So you can see same variable name we are using. The x here we are also using, x here we are also using. Outside x we have defined a values test. Inside function we have defined, we have assigned the value test1 in an x variable. When we are running this program, so you can see when it is going inside of this function, it is returning the value test1, what we have modified here. But still we are calling the same variable name, the previous value is calling. So this is called as a global variable. This is called as a local variable. Local variable, when we define inside the function the same name of the variable, the scope of the local variable only with the body of the function. And this function we have defined outside of the function, it is called a global. This value can be accessed, can be used, means we can print here inside this one also. But if we want to try to modify, it will throw error because the scope of the modification is only outside. So here means like x plus 2 we are giving, we are initially we are given a 2 number. So if we try to add 2 plus 2, then it will throw error. So at the time we need to define again a variable here, and then we can use one more thing here. Like now I am putting this value. Now a number. I am putting here a 10 value, and here also I am putting number 20. I'm commenting this one, and I'm printing NUM again NUM. The same thing what we have done there. There is no any changes. So only 10 value we print here also, it will print here also. Now we have modified this one. So 20 it will print here inside the function, and 10 it will print outside of the function. Okay. Now we can convert this local variable as a global also. How? There is a one keyword. Global is a keyword. Okay. So in that case, global we can use in this field. Now we can modify this 20. Now you can see both time the value will be 20. What happened? The variable name we have defined outside of the function, we can use inside of the function, means print the values. If we want to modify and changes in the outside variable values, so we can use inside function as a global. Then we need to define a variable name. Then we need to modify the values. Okay, same time you can't do both the thing. If we do in this way, it will throw error. It's not possible. Okay, so global keyword we need to use. Then the same name of the variable we need to use. If we modify now the scope, so what will happen actually? Now, when we are defining this variable, it is allocating our space in the memory. Okay, this is a global space. When we are calling this function and we are defining again a variable without global, for example, we are defining a variable without, right now we are not using global. So what will happen here? Again, num is creating here a variable. It will allocating some space. Again, num will create a variable. It will allocating some other space, other memory location. Why? This memory location will call this one, and this memory location will call this one. So this is a global, this is a local. Why this is a local? Because when we define a function allocate also one separate space in the memory. And when we define a variable, this will associated of this one automatically. So when we are doing any changes here, with the same name of, it will changing only in this variable. It is not reflecting in this variable. But when we have defined global name here, so this will not create. Inside of the function, same memory location will not be used. Automatically, it will locate the same previous one. It will search by the compiler. It means global means it's already defined. So compiler will understand when we define the global, it's this variable name has already memory location. So it will search that memory location. It will locate same. And what the value we have defined initially, the value has defined 10. When we have defined global num, it will be replaced by the values 20, and it will print 20 here. So because all the values are modifying in the single memory location, so it is reflecting when we come here and print this one. So again, it will print 20 value. Again, it will print 20 value. So I think now it has been more clear. Now we need to use a call by value and call by reference. This is some simple thing. Call by value means when we are calling a variable like, and it's not reflecting any changes, like a equal to 10, and left add by the sum any x, then x equal to x plus 1, print x, return x, x equal to anywhere we can connect x equal to 20, result at x, print result in x. Now you can see call by value. What the meaning of the call by value? I have defined a function here add. Okay, in add what we have done? We have gotten a variable x. I have adding one value in x, then we are printing and then we are returning. Okay, either we are not printing here, just we are returning. So the same variable name we have defined here, x equal to 20. We are passing x. We are storing the values. Return value we are storing in variable result. We are printing the result. After then again we are printing x. So you can see here 20. We have defined a variable value 20. We are passing a 20, then 20 plus 1, 21. It is storing again in x. We are returning x as a. So we have done the modification in the same variable, okay, x. But these all scope is a local, because we have already previously discussed now. These all scope as a local. So it is not reflecting anything here. Again, you can see what the value we have added here in the same variable, it is not reflecting in this variable. Okay, this concept is called call by value. Means what the value we are calling, it's call by value. And one more concept is available here. So if there is no any changes happening in outside of the variable, either we are doing the modification inside of the function, it's called call by value. Now, call by reference. Here we will use using call by reference. So call by reference basically we are using with the list. Using list. Same thing we are doing here. For example, def add I'm using x, I am again using, or either we can change the name to st dot append find d st equal to 1, 2. Now print, we can store result. Before result we need to print lst, then add lst I'm passing. Again after this one I'm printing. So your before calling function now you can see what is the impact. So just we explain the function first time. So I have defined a function add, then I am passing a variable here. I am adding this append in this one because this is a list. In this list we can't assign directly, so we need to use append. So we have defined a list here 1 and 2. We are passing here before calling function what the value in the list, it's printing here 1 and 2. And we are doing the modification in this list inside this function, but it is impacting on this list also. So you can see here before function calling, when we are printing only 1 and 2 is coming, but after calling the function, we have done the modification in this list inside the function, and we are printing outside of the we are storing this value in a result. For example, in this way also, without this one also it will work. Like you can see, if we have defined a collection list and we have not returned anything here, okay, and we have not print this value also. Now we are printing list also, but it's impacting changing. Why it's changing? Because the compiler will automatically understand the list. If we have defined a list there, we can do the modify inside the function also, and it will impact on the list. So what is happening when we are passing this list? Actually, these values are not passing here. The reference of this list will pass. Here we have defined 20, so 20 will pass here. It will not pass a list. Okay, here the 20, the value will pass here. So it is called call by value. It is called call by reference. So when we are passing a single variable, so it will automatically pass using the value. When we are passing the collections, okay, list, automatically it will treat by the Python compiler as a reference. So what the memory reference of this one, the memory reference will pass here. In memory reference, you are doing the modification. So it will not give any impact. It will give the impact on previous defining function also. Like now you can see here. When we have defined this list, what's happening? It is going and it is taking some memory location. 1 and 2 is assigned. For example, there are some memory location 1, 2, 9, 6, 7, any number of this one. This is the reference identification of this variable, this list. When we are passing the list here, what happening? These values are not passing. This reference are passing here and it is coming here in this reference. When we are doing the addition of 20, the reference of this one, automatically the new value will store here like a global variable. Okay, when we are printing this list value, so this is again representing this one because same memory location has been passed by here. So this is called call by pass by reference, call by reference. Okay, here it's called by value and it's called by reference. So when we are passing the list, dictionary also it's passed by call by reference. When we are passing a single variable, it is called as call by value. Now passing collection is the same thing. What the thing we have done now, this is the same thing. We need to pass passing collection. We have passed the collection in the function. Now the important thing is a anonymous function. Anonymous function. What is the meaning of the anonymous function? Anonymous function means when we, like in list comprehension, we have already discussed. Like list comprehension we have discussed. In this comprehension, what we have done there, what the thing we are achieving using the number of the lines outside of the function. We need to define a function, then we can do the coding. Using the list comprehension, we can achieve the functionality using the single line of the code. Single line of the code, we can do some manipulation there. The same concept is available here in anonymous function. Anonymous function means the function has no definition. It's a single line statement. For achieving the anonymous function, we use a lambda keyword. Lambda is a predefined keyword. Anonymous and lambda function we both call when you go in the interview. Generally, they will ask you what is anonymous function, how you will achieve the anonymous function. For achieving the anonymous function, we need to use lambda keyword. How? So we can see here. Just we see that example. I have a list. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 2, and then 4, then 5, then 8, then 10. My target is to create a new list with this list using, create a new list create a new list with only even number. Even number means I want the output should be in this way 2, 4, 8, 10. Output should like this one. There are multiple ways we can achieve this functionality using this combination we have already done. We have a one more function. So in this way, there are 3 ways we can do this one. So option 1. First of all, we need to define a function. Then even number, and then we need to pass x. Then we need to use here if x modulus 2 equal to 0. Then we need to return x. Okay. Now there are one more option, and if we call this one even number and lst, then we need to I think we need to append in a new list. Let me check. Oh, sorry. For x in num in lst, and here we need to call even number and num. Fine. Here we are getting the value in a result variable, and then we can store in a new list. For example, we want to create a new list, so even list we need to do, and then this one, then we need to use even list dot append, then we need to use result. And now if we print even list, so you can see now it is none, 2, 4, everything is coming here. Okay, otherwise because what the value we are passing here now in this way, but okay, one thing we can do because here none is also coming now. So what we can do here, if res greater than 0, then we need to append. I think it will throw error. Yes. Because none is not this one. We need to convert it in. Okay, in argument must be a string. Okay, none is passing now. We need to pass this. So now you can see here this line of the code we have written for achieving only converting this list, creating a list as a only the even number of the list we are creating from this existing list. So this line of the code we have written. So this is a option 1 we are using. Okay, so we don't need to write this line of the code. So there are another option, list complication option. This option we have done using function, normal function. We have achieved this one. Okay, now there is a one option, another way, using list comprehension. Using list comprehension, what we can do, we don't need to do anything like even list we need to use, and then we need to use list, then then we need to use this one, and here x for x in lst if x modulus 2 equal to 0. Print even list. One second. number not runtime. Coming error on which line number 102. Oh, here it's printing 1 second. Yes. So now you can see that was the previous one error it was coming from. Now we have because we have written here how many lines of the code. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 line of the code we have written for achieving a single functionality. Here what we can do, with the help of only single line, we can achieve the same functionality. There is a one more option using anonymous function. Using anonymous function, we can do many things actually. Here we can use also, like we have this list. Now we need to use, we want to create event list. Either for this actually here we need to use one more function. Actually I want to explain later time. One function is required, filter. So filter, then lambda x, and then we need to use modulus 2 equal to 0. So inside the filter function we need to pass 2 arguments. So we need to pass this list, and again we have what the create object, then we need to create list, this one. So filter lambda x, the value will be this one, and again we need to do this one. List. So you can see this one also. Here also we have achieved this functionality using the filter function and using the, so here there are two concepts we have implemented. Lambda is basically a concept for achieving the anonymous function. This is called here an anonymous function. With the help of lambda, we can achieve the anonymous function because we have not using the list comprehensive. The concept is a different here. But when we want to filter the value of the list, we need to use a filter also. So just I explain some other examples, so it will be more easy for you for understanding about the anonymous function. This is the step I have defined. There are 3 ways to convert this list into a only even number, using one function, using a normal function, using a list comprehensive, using the anonymous function, anonymous and filter, using filter and anonymous function, using filter and anonymous function. This is basically called a filter function. Filter function, when we are using the filter function, generally we are using a anonymous function. Either we can define a function also. You can say filter function and anonymous function also. You can say this filter function. And now I am giving some another example, so it is more easy for you to understand. Like one thing we can achieve using a normal function, like definition sum or x comma y, and we need to return this value x plus y, and here we are calling result, then assuming sum, then comma 5, then we need to print. So what the thing we can see here, the result 15 is coming here. Okay. So result 15 is coming here. We have done this using 1 line, 2 line. This for this we want to define a sum function. So this thing we can use using anonymous function also, how we can do this one. So for this, we need to use result, or either we can define some function, the name of the function you remember, then a lambda, then x, then comma, how many variable we need to pass, x comma y, then we need to give x, then plus y, then we need to call sum, then we need to pass 10 comma 5, we need to store the value in the result function, and then we need to print the values. Okay, now if we execute this one, so you can see what the functionality we are achieving using the sum function. We are achieving only this single line also. So what does the sum we have defined here, I have given a sum. This is also a function. When we are creating this lambda, okay, after then how many parameters, for example, if we pass 6 value, we can store here also, it's also possible. Y. Sorry, Z. Then here we can give x plus y. This is also possible. Okay, the number, so the anonymous function definition is define a function without definition, means we don't need to use the def keyword, we don't need to give the any multiple line statement. So anonymous function we can achieve only with a single line, like this comprehension. So for achieving the anonymous function, we need to use the lambda function. After then, what the operand you want to give, the argument basically you want to give, you can give here. After colon, this is the argument in which sequence we are passing, we are getting, okay, in which sequence, like 10 will store in x, 5 will store in y, 6 will store in z. And if we are adding this one, we need to do the calculation or any manipulation. After then, this will automatically assign to this variable. And when this name is not a normal name, this name is the anonymous function name. Like here is a normal function name, it's called an anonymous function name. But the variable name we define here, we need to use same variable name here, and we need to pass the number of argument, what the number of argument we have defined inside the lambda. So this is called a anonymous function. Okay, so I have given this example, the filter function example, what the function I have given here, a filter function. The filter function example I have given here. So I think it's already understood by you. So again, I'm repeating. So we can achieve, we have a two option. We have defined a function here. Okay, and after then the function, we are doing some calculation here. Okay, and after then we are returning this value. For this, we need to define a def keyword, means the function definition, how we define using def keyword. Then we need to give the function name, then we round bracket, then the number of argument we need to pass here, then parameter and calculation, what the calculation we need to do, we are doing here. Again, we are returning these two line of the code. Maybe this line of the code will be more also. So more complicated logics we can't achieve using the lambda keyword. Some normal logics we can achieve using the lambda, and lambda will go also in some advanced level also. We'll discuss later when we are going with the practical more with the other classes. At the time we will explain more lambda using also. So right now we need to understand only what is anonymous function. So here for achieving of the anonymous function, we need to define a variable name. That variable name will become as function name, anonymous function name. And then we have defined equal to. After then we need to define a lambda keyword. Then we need to define any number of the variable, what the variable you are passing here, the same variable you need to pass here. In same sequence, it will pass the value here. After then we need to give a colon. The colon left hand side is the argument, colon right hand side is the calculation. Okay, manipulation. We want the manipulation, what the calculation we can do. We can do only in the right hand side. Colon right hand side. Colon is a very important in the anonymous function. Without a colon, we can't achieve this one. This is the syntax part. Lambda and colon, and between the colon and lambda, it's the variable, and after the colon, it's the calculation parts. So with the help of this, we can call the same name that we need to pass the variable here. Automatically, it will calculate and it will return the value. So this is called an anonymous function. Now we have a two more function, filter and map function. Filter function is basically we are using, this is the same example of the filter function. Filter function we are using for filter the list value. If we want to get the only the odd numbers, so with the help of this we can get the odd number also. So filter is a function that is using to filter the list values. Okay, because from the filter we can get the list. We can do the manipulation only in the list. Okay, in tuple we can't do add, addition, we can't do these things. Okay, we can get the value from there also, but if that case, na, for example, if I convert this one in this, now again, because filtering the value of the either a list, but we are creating a new list here. Okay, so either we are passing either list or tuple, anything we can pass, but generally we are using the list. Very rarely we are using the tuple. Tuple is generally not used here in this concept. So the filter definition is we for filter the list value we use the filter function. With the lambda anonymous function we can achieve this function. What the lambda we have used here, same concept we need to use here. This single variable here, one by one automatically it will call here. Okay, and it will be checked here too. And if we have given the 0 means not equal to 0 means only the odd number it will return. Okay, and here we are reading the odd list and we do this one, so only the even number will come. So this is the example of the filter function. Same concept we can use with the map also. In place of this one we can use map. Some other advanced example of this one also. So in here you can see true, false, true, false, true, false, this one. Okay, in the map now it will return true, false, true, false. This one is a true, this one is a false, this one is a true, this one is a false. Okay, and we can apply some example here also in a map, like a function we can call in that other class I will explain, because now we have already gone more time. Now one more important concept is pending actually. I need to define that one also. This is a recursion. I need to complete this function actually. Recursion. Recursion is a very important concept also in all programming languages. Recursion means call self function by itself. If one function we have defined, it is calling by self repeated time, it's called a recursion. But how we can define this one? So example of recursion like a factorial number. We can achieve the factorial program using the recursion factorial. Factorial of 5 means factorial of 5 means what? 5 multiply 4 multiply 3 multiply 2 multiply 4. This is the concept of the factorial. Okay, so I am giving here num equal to 5. I want to achieve factorial using recursion. Okay, so here def factorial x, then if x equal to 1, then we should return value. In some, when we are defining a recursion function, the function should be returned at least one time as a false. Otherwise, it will go in an infinite loop. So what will be the output of this one? 5, 4, 20, 3 is 62, 120. Okay. Why we are given, automatically 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we need to multiply this one, so it will return the value that should be. So what will happening here? This is called a recursion. Okay, I explain this program. We have called in this way actually factorial. I have defined here a number equal to 5 and factorial result equal to factorial. Then I am calling this function I have defined. What will happen? First of all, the controller will come in, the Python compiler will come here. It will check the syntax is correct or not. It will check till here. After then it will come here. Okay. Then it will come here. Okay. I have already called. No, sorry. I have already called here. So I have already called result factorial. So any random equal to 5. I have already called now this function here. So no need to define again. 1 second. Now, first of all, the control will come here. It will check the syntax of the code. So it will check from here to this line of the code. Now it will come here num equal to 5. So n equal to, it will define and it will locate in a memory as a 5. Now it will come here. So factorial function. When we are calling the factorial means it will call this function. What the values we have defined here? 5 we have defined here. 5 will call and 5 will come here in this value. Now what will happen? It will come here in x, and now x value is equal to 5. 5 equal to 1, false. It's not true. When it will be true, then it will come inside. It is false, then it will come in return in this else statement. Okay. When it will fall, then it will come here. So now the return means 5. 5 means the value of 5 x is equal to 1. 5 will replace here, then it will come in this way. And factorial, again the factorial function, and 5 minus 1 means 4. So what will happen? It will store automatically by Python compiler in a memory, and this function will call one by one. So what will happen? It will return 5 minus means in this way it will return 5 minus multiply, and then function means what? Factorial, again it will call factorial and factorial 4. So now x value will be 4 because we are passing the 4 here. Again it will come here. 4 equal to 1, false, then again it will come here. So now what the value of the x? 4. So it will come here 4. Again it will become a 3. Then it will go there as a 3 value. Now 4 will become a 3. 3 will come here, it will false. So it will come again 3 here. This will replace. Again this function will call itself. So it will go 2. Then it will go, what will happen? And it will go 2. Then automatically it will become 2, then it will become 1. 1 means what? It means when it will come here, then it will return 1. So it will automatically 1. So it will go outside of this function. So this is basically understanding by the Python compiler when we are calling a recursion, which is storing the value in the stack memory. And after then execution of the, when it will be a false, when it will be a false, then it will be calculate all the values and it will return in this variable, and the result will come here and 120. This is the concept by the Python compiler executed internally. So this concept is available in all programming languages. This is by default given by the compiler of the programming languages, recursion concept. In a recursion means the function call itself repeated time, when till then the condition will be a false. When the condition will be false, then we are returning 1. When we are turning 1, automatically it will go outside of the function. Okay, right now again we are calling one by one, same function we are repeating. Same function repeating, call a recursion of the function. Okay, so for